Yes. Yes, yeah, that should be the right stuff. Should work. Okay, we'll call a meeting to order. The meeting properly announced. Yes, it was. Okay, roll call, so that all committee members are here. Approval of the agenda. So, second. Motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Public participation will take as that comes. Approval of minutes from last meeting.
Make a motion, we approve both sets of minutes.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from last two meetings. Is there any discussion on them? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Review and act on driveway permit, County Z for Wilkinson.
Okay, so this is the driveway on County Z by Dell Avenue, town of Quincy. Owner made application to us to access on the County Z. We denied it for the ordinance because this particular property is a corner lot. And so that was the reason for denial. The site distance is not an issue. It's greater than 1,000 feet in each direction. So again, reason for our denial was because it's a corner.
I'm assuming it just says if you got a corner lot and you have the you can access off a non-county trunk, that's what you gotta do.
Right, when on corner lots, we typically, for our ordinance, we would try to slide them to the lesser travel. It would be a town road. It'd be a town road in our situation. So that's what it kind of.
Is this a residence or a business?
I know we have the owner here with us today, so I think maybe if the committee is.
Yeah.
Chair, have some communication.
Shed some light on.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to come and make this petition again. My name is Scott Wilkinson. I bought this lot. I had been looking around for a lot to build on for a business. And my business is welding and I do log cutting and woodworking, machining, that sort of thing. I bought the lot in particular because it was on Z and it was advertised that way. And when I talked, I know this doesn't hold any water, but when I talked to the realtor, he said, "Oh yeah, you get access, you get in and out of there." It's bounded by 3 roads: Z, Dell, and French. Dell is not a good road to enter from because it's got this significant hill on it. It just goes up and down, right from the corner to the stop there as well, to the end of the next corner. French is a very narrow road, and to bring a truck in, big truck, if I bring logs in, I'd want to bring them in from Z, and not have to worry about postings and that sort of thing in the wintertime. Bring it in and drive out on the French. Backing the truck out would be more difficult on the highway. So that's why I designed the building, and you can see it up there. It's kind of oriented a little bit goofy, but the top of that picture there is actually Z. And you would head west if you turned and kind of down there and then out on French at the bottom. But I kind of drew that circular line through there that kind of shows the swale that goes through the property. Yeah, right there. And it goes up 10 feet to the road, which is Dell, to the south side there. So that's not an easy thing. I've done a lot of leveling in there, so it's much improved, but it's still there. The Dell still is too steep a peak for that. So I probably waited too long to reapply for this, but I tried to work out another potential way to get in and out. And of that picture up there, if you looked at the upper right, yeah, I tried to come in through there along the highway, but not in the ditch, but inside the property line. Go in there and make a turn to go in. That's feasible, but it still doesn't leave you much to turn. That's about 80 feet from the road edge to the property line to the edge of the building. The opposite side is where the septic drain field and all that kind of stuff is, and I didn't want to make it too big a turn in there either. Just stay off the drain field. The south side would have been ideal. It's too darn steep. I'd be afraid of trying to get in and get out off of that peak. I don't know if you want to know any more about it.
So the commercial, it's basically a business there.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at your drawing here, it looks like you pull in off of Z.
Correct. Drive through and then empty and come out on French.
So there's not gonna be any people backing out onto
Right.
Z.
Right.
I mean, so like if people come to your place, they're always gonna drive through the building?
Drive through, yep,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just in a car, you can come from either side, I suppose, and back out, I wouldn't
Yeah,
say.
I just don't wanna, I just hate to see people backing on the county roads, that's.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think that's what Mr. Bork's referencing to is you'd really rather not have somebody backing vehicle out on the county.
Right.
Right.
That can be.
I mean, if they're coming in there for business on your driveway.
Right.
If there's a way they have a turnaround, you know, that they
Yeah.
can, that car or pickup or whatever.
Yes.
Just so they don't, I don't wanna see people backing out on the county roads.
Correct. Yeah.
Alternative too is we bring in semis in, backing off of Z in there is not a good situation either, that hill.
No. Well, there's too much of a hill there. That's just a faster road than Dell and French. But the hill is Dell, which is
Right.
the southern border.
Right.
You know, it's really steep. Yeah.
So we got a short video clip here, and I guess maybe this will answer a few of our queries, so I hope I don't have audio. on this one. I do. Anyway, that was looking north. I'm standing at about in the front of his where the overhead door, looking north. I'm gonna pan. Now I'm looking about straight east. And then we are going to be looking straight south. And then from here, I'm going to stop the video for a second. And now I'm standing over in the corner. Now I'm looking south. Now I'm panning around. Here, we're gonna be looking straight down Dell Avenue here in a second. So there's Dell. Right there.
That's right.
And then we continue. Now this is his lot.
This must be pretty recent.
It's very recent.
Didn't have the skin on the end.
Yeah, so. You want to see any part of that again?
Scott?
If people are coming to your business, I didn't see no parking. I mean, besides going into your building, granted, that's.
Right, if they're in the car or truck, pickup truck or something like that, you come in off the French, and I got the fairly wide gravel area there to come in and turn around on the French.
So how much room do you have to this north? Or is that building right to the property line?
North to the property line?
How far did the building, I mean, does your property line north of that building?
It's probably 30 feet. 35 feet or something,
Right.
right in there, right? That was a hill there too, so we had to dig down a little bit to get it kind of level for the whole area.
So other than semis coming in, everything's gonna come off the French.
Could come off of French, yeah. Either wide enough in both cases, there'll be, I mean, a turnaround probably from the west, I'm sorry, off of Z as well for a car. not for a truck, but for a car. It's 80 feet from the edge of the road to the building, so I can make that a big kind of a loop in there, a turnaround for cars, which would allow you to get out or just drive through the building, come out the other side.
I think if we make it contingent on that there's a turnaround, you know, a place to back around, so there, if anybody pulls in, you know, not everybody can go around on French to pull into you probably.
Yep, yep.
So that I don't want to make it, that's the only way that, once they pull in, that they gotta back on.
Okay, no worries about that. I can make that either 50 feet wide is what I had planned for that, which is a pretty good amount. And then I was even considering going down around the shop area where all the milling machines and stuff are, in case I wanted to drop it off at the front door, but not for a big truck, but for a car or a pickup truck.
What other business did you say was in logging,
You-
and
Yeah, I do custom welding and machining. And my current shop is so small, I just have to move everything out of the way in order to get to have one thing to get to use it, so. Not safe. So I tripled the size.
Well, motion to approve that driveway contingent on making a turnaround
First,
or a place for the small vehicles to turn around, everything else is gonna go through the shed.
I had not planned on putting it in asphalt, but I was gonna do gravel in there on both sides. The width of the building, gravel, so and pack all that down, so it's can turn around. Maybe someday asphalt, but most likely it'll stay gravel.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the driveway permit. Is there any discussion more?
yes.
Okay,
Josh Olson denied this. I wish he would have wrote an additional requirements and comments exactly why. I guess, do you know why he denied it? Other
pretty
than
much based off of what.
what the ordinance says?
Yeah.
I guess in future ones, if you could. Just section 5 through 8 corner lots. Didn't tell me much, so.
Oh, yeah, I can have them, I can have them clear, add some more to that, so. I get it. We look at it every day,
Right,
you know, you guys don't. Section 5.8 corner lots to us means in our driveway, or I know what you're referencing.
that's the only thing I had.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
I do have one question myself.
Okay,
I can do it, but I don't know if I'm supposed to do it or not. Put in culvert under the driveway there, because there is a ditch there, not much of a slope, but would I do that or?
No, that would be part of your driveway. I just closed your permit, so we can look again. I don't know if Josh marked that a pipe would be required. I imagine, like you say, it would be.
Yeah, it's not much of a ditch, but it's there.
Yeah, cause I mean, water's gonna run downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yeah. And I did talk to one of the drivers that does the snow plowing and can't remember his name. This was during the winter time. Anyway, so make sure your driveway is at least 30 feet wide. And why he said that, I don't know, but it will be at least 30 feet wide.
There is probably a restriction on how wide you can go, right?
There is in the driveway ordinance, there's a width, but
Yeah, I have a
it's
copy.
great ample.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even for residential, it's great ample for what you're talking.
anything else?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have it. If you have any other questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for me or not?
At the commercial or schools, it's 24 to 40 feet wide.
All right, review and discuss on County Highway
Did we have a,
vote.
we did?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I missed that part. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Should I have the?
You, entirely up to you.
I know you're talking about private stuff. I didn't wanna.
That's a public meeting.
Yeah. We'll tell you if it's private, we'll tell you have you go then.
It'll be closed session.
Nice.
All right, review, discuss, act, county highway CT construction project methods.
So it's just a discussion item. What I would like to do for County C is, what we had in our capital improvement plan was to mill and overlay County C.
CC.
Double C, yeah, not C, double C. And part of that was going to be to widen, like we've done on some other projects, so we would cut the shoulder out, pave it, and then overlay it. On this road here, I was proposing to mill it, mill it down, so we get a mill, we mill off an inch, inch and a half, cut the shoulder out, widen the pavement, and then overlay the entire thing. What I would like to do is take another option on the project, and that would be pulverize full depth and then pave it to 30 feet wide. We're not committing you to do that, or the highway department to do that, but I would like to at least look at that cost. And we'll have both options in front of you, so we can make that decision. With that option, with either option, there may be the necessity to use funds from double X. Okay, so we had double C listed, we had double X listed for very similar processes. So if double C comes in a little bit higher than what we were thinking, we might need to pull some money from double X and just postpone double X. Double C is by far more heavily traveled with heavier vehicles than double X is. Well, that's the discussion.
Scott,
When is double C and double X supposed to be done?
It's you. We would plan to do that work this year. When will it actually take place this year? I can just say, I would not expect to see much of anything happen until August. That's when we know County M is going to start.
So all you're asking is just to go out and get a pricing and.
Estimates.
I just want to bring two different types of projects for the committee to look at.
cost comparison.
One's gonna be full depth pulverization, one's gonna be mill and overlay.
I think
Second, okay, motion made, seconded to go ahead and get price comparisons on RVCC. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Update on traffic safety committee meeting.
Traffic safety was yesterday, was fairly brief. I do not have all of the details from our meeting, but they are, there's an item on there called construction detour updates. There's no construction or detours for the state highways. County highways is going to be county M. When we get to August, we'll have some seal coating that'll take place in June. Old business, there was a brief update, just a brief mention on an intersection study that took place in the town of Rome. That information will be presented to the town of Rome this month, I believe it was 23rd. And then I did also ask that they share that information with us once it's available. We're talking about State Highway 13 and Apache within the town of Rome at the top of the hill. They did an intersection study there. And so we'll see what we come in. So concerned about some near misses, some speed.
there really used to be a mess before they moved Apache on the other side.
Yeah. And then we didn't have any new business. We went through the crash reports for countywide. And then the next item on our agenda was just a fatal crash report, which thankfully there was none for this meeting. Unfortunately, it sounds like there will be one for the August meetings. And then one of the items that we talked about at traffic safety was just come up was that we thought to have some additional discussion about Amish traffic. That'll hit the August meeting for traffic safety.
Questions? Okay, next is the ATV, UTV ordinance discussion. I brought this to Pat. I feel it's time that we need to do something. People are making calls and I understand your take on what the advisory came up with. I mean, it did pass by 150 some votes. I feel that the ones that voted for it are ATV, UTV owners, and the ones that voted against it are not. However, the thing that we're not taking into consideration is the amount of tourism that comes in with ATVs and UTVs in our area. And I think we need to make a just decision and not necessarily vote our feelings. I think we need to consider what our constituents are thinking. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Pat drop an ordinance or a resolution and present it at the next meeting and do a vote on it. I'd like to get it out of here and at least put it on the county board floor. I don't think it's right that 5 people make a decision for the rest of the
Oh,
county.
if you recall, that was my beef when I brought that up 2-3 months ago, whenever it was, because I didn't think 5 of us should be making that decision.
I don't think
It should
so
be a
either.
board decision. And I also, I'm sorry, Dory, can I say a couple things?
Yes,
I understand, and I've had a couple supervisors talking to me too about the doors and about all the stuff. But I guess one of the parts that bothers me most from the beginning is that now, even that the vote was really pretty narrow. It was not overwhelming, yes, anywhere. And actually Rome was, that was a pretty big percent saying no. But another thing for me is to just flat out say yes, let them go nuts on all the county trunks. I don't really believe that's the way to approach it.
I agree with you.
I'm up from so far what I've seen, nobody has been willing to go and say, well, yeah, let's see. And I'm just bringing this up as an example, part of Z like in Rome. They probably got no business on there. It's just too dangerous. And all I hear is, yeah, let's pass it, but nobody's willing to ante up and do any kind of, they had the sheriff here. I like the sheriff, but he didn't offer up jack. I feel like I'm not doing my job as a board member and a committee member if I just ignore all those things and say, oh, yes, or no. I guess I lean more towards no when I'm not showing anything else. So far, all I've heard is, well, people want it. I've heard counties around us are doing it. And a couple other things, I gotta say, I'm sorry that, especially some of those are so late, in my opinion, just because someone else is doing it, we should do it. I'm looking for something more substantial to make it a favorable thing. And
I've got a couple comments. One is obviously Rome, you get Northern Prairie County, you got your trails
Yeah.
and stuff and if anybody has looked up the Wood County ATVs, that they did a survey up there. And one thing, and we talk about tourism, but there hasn't been anything brought to the county on opening trails, trying to find trails, because that's what brings tourism in my opinion, is people want to ride on trails. I just talked to Dennis Kowicki on Saturday night. And they had a group that rode up from Quincy, clear up to Rome to ride on their trails on Saturday, because that's where they gotta go to ride on trails. I think when we talk about tourism, just like Millston, Warren's area over there in Black River Falls, that's tourism because the people can go and ride on these trails in the mud and the dust and the dirt. And to me, that's what one of the things that we need to look at. The other thing, and that's not the highway committee by no means, because that's nothing that we're gonna go and talk about trails. The other thing is I've had people actually this winter and coming up with this referendum, I had a lot of people that called and talked to me about this and what the pros and the cons. And with that referendum, and a lot of people that voted one way or the other, I don't think that a lot of people don't understand the difference. It wasn't publicly out there, and maybe that's our fault, or maybe that's the public's fault for not doing the research. Is once you say that they're recreational vehicles, and I know that a speeding ticket is a speeding ticket, but a speeding ticket on a ATV, UTV doesn't register on your driving record the same as a car, or reckless vehicle, or reckless driving, or drunk driving, or any of those things. And most of the public that I talked to, or that contacted me and talked to me about it, they said and you can talk to any attorney, and every attorney is going to tell you a whole different story one way or the other. And I talked to
Depending on
Joan,
what you want to hear.
and I talked to Joan Ballwick, and she says, then you just put it in your county ordinance that they're motor vehicles. If they're on the pavement, they're motor vehicles. Plain and simple. I could go along with that. I would be okay with that. But you're gonna, whether the sheriff agrees with it or whether anybody else agrees with it, that's a different story. But I could, from the people I talked to, says if they make it so they're a motor vehicle, and everything that a motor vehicle has to abide by, when those front tires touch the pavement, so their back ones leave the pavement, they're considered motor vehicle. And the people that I talked to, they're contacted me, were very strongly about it, and that's what I would. And everybody can agree with me or disagree with me, but that's my take on it.
I, be honest with you, Kenny, I agree to an extent. The extent is by opening up to motor vehicles, we're putting golf carts into play. They're a motor vehicle, they have a motor on them.
Well, is there
No,
any,
no, the same as a licensed motor vehicle, let's just say a
Okay.
licensed motor vehicle.
All right, and let's
Okay.
clarify,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
put
yeah,
DNR, DOT regulated
yeah, if it's.
motor vehicle.
If the ATV, UTV is, has to abide by every other. Motor vehicle or licensed motor vehicle operator on the road, and the fines, the penalties, everything's the same going down there.
Everything really is that way right now.
Except for don't go on your driving records.
No, and it's probably not going to.
And
That's
that's
the
the
snowmobile, ATV and boat.
but that's
They're
when
all
they're driving on the pavement. And they should be considered a motor.
But they can get a drunk driving ticket and they end up in jail with it.
But they don't lose their
Just-
license,
just
it doesn't go on the
because it's not
driving.
license doesn't, I mean, insurance companies still get a hold of it.
That's what I would have to see for me to move it forward, is we'd have to have that. So whether that's possible, not possible, I don't know, but that's my feeling on, and whether I'd move forward with this or not, is if anybody can bring that back and say we can do that. And like I said, Joan Ballwick, when I contacted her and asked her about it, she says, you make your county rules the way you want to have them, and enforce them the way you want to have them enforced. Because she's not gonna do it at the state, she said.
No, and the other thing is, we're doing a DNR regulated thing versus DOT. I mean, you can't go by what DOT does, Although whenever you do hit that blacktop or that county or state highway. You follow the same rules as the car does. I mean, it doesn't go the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have an accident in it, you can be as liable on a UTV as you are a car. So.
I got 2 things also. I right now have constituents that. Voted yes, I got constituents that have absolutely no trails in their township. How are we gonna go about saying, and they voted against this, that we're gonna put trails all over in your township when they didn't vote for it, nobody's come before their board to ask for trails in your
You're
township?
talking about Springville?
Yes. And my other is Quincy, I'm Quincy Springfield. So, you know, I see it on this hand, these guys want it, these guys don't want nothing to do with it. How are we gonna say, yeah, we're gonna force it? We always talk about this at county board too, that we should always back our townships. I mean, if they don't want something, or they want something, that's what we should do, correct? I mean, since I've been on there, that's what we do. And that's a hard spot for me there. The other point,
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
add to that first? That's why when we are able to do this, there is gonna be sections of road, county highway that are gonna be posted close. We know that. We just haven't picked them out yet. And I know Kenny, you've had some suggestions on some, and I agree with the suggestions. I know County B is one. County A might be some. I'm not familiar with that part of the county that much. And I'm willing to work with you guys if you know a section. I'm willing to work with it. Now, anything surrounding Springville, I agree. It shouldn't be open. There's no reason for them to be there.
That brings me to my next point. Is we sat here, what, a couple of years ago and decided, even when we opened these up. We promised we ain't ever gonna come back to you. We love what you guys did. You opened up enough. Now all of a sudden, here we are. Man of, I mean, you gotta be a man of your word, you know?
I'm gonna come back on that. That wasn't necessarily me. That was a man called Eric Edwards that made that promise, and he was the chairman of that committee at that time. That was not me.
All right, well,
And one of their concerns on, it's unless you,
no, go ahead.
is. We started opening up the county roads now. Town of Adams has, I think it's 10 o'clock, you can't have them on the roads on 10 o'clock, but the county ordinance
It's midnight.
is midnight, so now. The town, if they're going down the county road at midnight, they can't get off the. And, you know, somehow we gotta make it so that if this does indeed pass, it's gotta be some kind of. Uniform, because many, town of Adams has 35 miles an hour. And it's written right out on the county roads that the town of Adams is 35 miles an hour, but I don't believe in our county ordinance, it's 50, it's supposed to. And, you know, some of them have ordinance on, county has it, so no open intoxicants. But there's a lot of them that don't have that in there. And there's different, so somehow, you know, and that's what the sheriff, when he came here and he said, well, nobody knows what roads are open. But now all of a sudden we're gonna go and say, we don't know what rules to follow because everybody, you get off the county road, you're on a town road. The rules, as soon as you make a right turn or a left turn, the rules change on.
Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Couple of things more. I don't get very much agreement about the statement I'm gonna make ever since I got into politics. It didn't take me long to, I don't necessarily believe that you flat out, no matter what, do what your constituents tell you to do, even if it's bad for them, or I don't, that. I have a real problem with that. If under no circumstance do you deviate if they want it, then I don't know that I don't think you necessarily belong sitting on the board. I mean, if you're gonna just blindly go down a road.
I totally disagree with that.
Well, I'm just telling you my opinion. I just think
They're the people that voted to sin.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna bring this up with my second point. Again, I'm gonna mention. It was not overwhelmingly wanted in any town, where when it was. Or it was.
And I explained what I think is the difference between the two. It's ATV, UTV owners versus non-owners.
Well, and I tend to agree, it's the least.
If we had, if that referendum would have said any property owner in Adams County was eligible to vote on it, you see that difference.
Made anybody think that they weren't eligible?
Well, you gotta, you
You gotta be a resident.
Well,
I'm talking property owners, I mean, Kenny, you as well as anybody along that Wisconsin River. There's $1 million homes and I can take you for a ride and show you ones that have 6 ATVs, 6 UTVs, they got snowmobiles, they got pontoons. I mean, them people all spend money. And they're not full-time residents.
I agree to that. To a point. There's also residents around here that's here 12 months out of the year.
Yeah.
That have to put up with
Exactly.
the noise and everything else. They have just as much say. Or I even think more than some of the weekenders. They're here more.
I stopped, I didn't stop him, but I flagged down a UTV that was behind my house. Cause I see, he goes out and he goes down Z. And I've seen him go, I've seen more on, or on F, excuse me, seen more on F this year. That's not open than I have all last year with Quincy being open. Yeah. And I asked the one guy, I says, you know that F is closed, and he goes, well. I'm gonna drive on it until somebody stops me and tells me I can't. But now I see they cut straight across F and then they drive the ditch to get down to Z.
There's more illegal than riding on the road.
Yeah, but in just like to your point is just because it's. People don't follow the rules, let's make it so it's, we'll make it legal so
That's
they
the way
can, so they
the
can
country's
follow.
gotten for so many things.
So,
When you
but
can't get through those rules.
it frustrates me that when you tell somebody that you're doing it wrong, they'll do, they're not gonna follow the rules regardless. But
I see that on by me all the time. I mean, they went right past our town hall the other day and that section's not open yet. It's coming for us and you're gonna get a application. No,
I guess that's all I had to say.
so I guess, you want me to bring it forward or you wanna kick it down the road? I'd like to get it to county board floor.
I would too.
I guess if you,
I don't have a
Like-
problem with that.
like I said, with what I have, what I brought up tonight, if that can be addressed, then I don't have an issue with it, but if it's not addressed,
If it has something about motorized vehicles.
Well, and more than the
And
rest of what it's gonna
some,
do.
and I don't know how we do it with the townships, so we gotta get it
What do you mean, like
standardized.
the dates or the times and stuff?
Speed, what our speed is, and I mean. You go to Sauk County and they're driving 35 miles an hour and here you're coming up behind them in a semi and it's 35 miles an hour, that's what you're going or. And,
Personally, I
and
don't really like that idea.
no, but everybody says, well, Sauk County's got it or Juneau County's got it, but you're picking and choosing what rules we want to follow over
Yeah.
what each place is going on in hours of operations and I mean, you go into Marquette County, I go to M and you see sections of road there are closed or they're at 35 miles an hour on M. And same thing.
I don't have a problem with speed limit either. I really don't. If we can come to some type of balance here to do it. I don't have a problem with time. I mean, we can change it all to 10 o'clock. All we have to do is to update our policy. And we make them 35 miles an hour or
Yep.
whatever. I mean, on any of these roads.
I would go to whatever township has the lowest posted speed on their roads. That's what the county would be, because then it's,
The only thing I know of in townships is, is 55 of us is supposed to lessen that
Quincy, that's 35, I know.
on all roads.
Yep. And I don't know what Town of Adams has, I can't remember if they have.
Can we do that?
Town road, probably.
I mean, they could do portions, but I didn't think they could do it end to end.
I would like to look to, before I comment,
I think we should.
Like I said, Talk County, they have all their roads posted at 75 or at 35 miles an hour. I mean, so obviously you can
The
post
town roads or the county roads?
county roads
So, yeah,
and the town
but
roads.
you posted for ATV, UTV, so.
Yeah, but that's what we did in Quincy is they're all posted at 35 for ATV.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, automobile, it's not.
No,
That's what I meant. I mean,
oh,
that-
yeah, no,
I'm talking ATV versus.
Yeah, and
automobile.
that's what I'm saying is, whatever township has the earliest time that you're closed, well, then that's what the county should be, because if you're getting off a county road or something that you're not going in somewhere that.
I mean, the time, I understand the time, 10 or midnight, I don't care. I mean, snowmobile wise, there isn't any. I mean, if you live close to the snowmobile trail, you're gonna hear snowmobiles all night. Whether they're on the road or on the trail, trust me. The trail goes right through my backyard and it goes right down in my road in front of me
And maybe it take a couple months. I mean, you bring a draft back next month and we look at it and then we talk about, see what changes that any of us would like to see or not like to see. And then,
I would actually like a bulletin to go out to all these townships and saying, what roads are they really concerned about in there? Maybe Springville, there is some roads that they could compromise on and let them come through, or maybe there's some roads that they definitely don't want. I mean, why shouldn't we listen to the people whose townships these county roads go through?
well, being their committee person, why don't you check with them and see if you can't. I suppose you want to talk to Randy, probably, I suppose.
Randy or Jerry or.
Yeah.
Why don't these people that want this so bad go do the legwork? Well, I think it's a legitimate question. I'm just saying, I think it's a legitimate question. I mean,
I've been trying,
they
so
could just as easily go to talk to town boards I just,
our town board right now wants County Z opened up from Chicago Avenue to Badger. And they want County C opened up from Z to 16th,
and that's the town of
town of Monroe.
Monroe.
And it's 35, 45, and 55. Austin.
I would like to see this be moved forward. I ride four-wheelers, snowmobiles, all that stuff all the time. Everyone I associate with would like to be able to ride their four-wheeler where they would like to, or their UTV. I don't think that a lot of people are gonna be trying to ride the county roads from one end to the other either. I think that you're gonna be trying to get on and off. Yeah, I would sure like to see this moved ahead.
Well, I think the only way it's gonna get some, the support you need is if somebody does the legwork and actually go talk to the towns. You gather some things up, I mean, nobody's made the effort to do any, gather any data on, like, let's say portions of Z that are wicked, nobody's even bothered to look what's happened or might have
Well, I
happened.
mean, you can take into consideration town of Rome. There is not a business in the town of Rome that is not accessible to ATV or UTV.
Well,
they're all
then it
accessible.
shouldn't hurt if part of Z is closed.
What you're saying is true.
Well, Romano's got a section open, they had to pay for it.
Well, I hope I'm not coming off that I'm just flat against it, because I'm certainly not. But the vote, I gotta tell you, raised my eyebrows when it came up, and I'm like, shit. It wasn't overwhelming positive anyway. It's like, okay, well, that tells you something right there.
Well, I still stand by what I said on that, but. No. All right, well, we'll try and put something together and maybe bring it forward to the next meeting. I'll see what I can get done. Move on. 23 project status report.
We did do some updating here. We did start hauling chips, so we are doing that. We're hauling the 13 and 82, and we're hauling that. We're stockpiling at 13 and 82, and stockpiling at Big Flats. Those costs will be coming through. Yeah, once we start getting them calculated through our system. Double C, double X, we haven't done any, there's nothing happening there. County M, mid-August start date, so really no activity. Well, I shouldn't say that. There is activity there. I think if you hadn't heard it last month, the utilities were verified east of County G. They are out of the way. There's not a conflict. They are actively boring west of it, and they are actively boring and plowing. Engineer will be back down in the next, probably, I talked to him today, probably next week, to start verifying that they are outside the slope intercept or at the edge of the right of way, so they're out of the way. They are working, they are moving forward. There is more work to be done out there as far as utilities go, but they are there, which is good. And then County Z, I just made a note up there that we've paid out to this point, 942,000. That number will continue to go up and down a little bit over time as we get bills in and we get a credit periodically. We are due a credit right now due to a small section of gravel that was non-compliant and the paving that took place out there, that patchwork, that will be a deduct for us as well. So should go down, maybe not $100,000, but it will go down a little bit. That's kind of my update on our thing here. Just gonna get it to move over. Any questions?
No? Anybody? Move on to Highway Department operations. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Like I mentioned, we're hauling chips. We're paving for Washera County. You probably could hear our guys leaving tonight. So we'll be paving with them next week as well. We did some patchwork for the town of Newchester and the town of Springville and on our county trunk highway system. So just with patch, not paving. We've been doing a fair amount of sweeping for the Village of Friendship, Washera County, Village of Hancock, and Village of Coloma. We've been working over there. We have our stumps removed on County Z. So we have been doing restoration and they are for the most part somewhat kind of done. Now our restoration on County Z, to be clear, is not golf course grade restoration. Remember, we cut and remove trees and the majority of the area where we worked will be redisturbed. Those areas were primarily not being maintained prior to our clearing and grubbing efforts. So our work was contained for the most part within the right of way. And that is our responsibility to maintain. Anyway, so we have done that. We've been doing some shouldering work with our reclaimer and our shouldering trucks. We have been using the bulk of what we use has been coming out of the stockpile that we've had crushed. We currently have Washera County over here spraying our beam guard for us, and they've also done some limited spraying on the state highway system for us as well. So they're like the beam guards, the median down by Chula Vista, some of our bridge approaches and beam guards, things like that. We were getting ready to start our DMA contract for the DOT. That's that crack filling on State Highway 13. So on Monday, we'll be starting just north of 21, and we'll be hopefully migrating, working our way up all the way to the town of Rome over the period of
probably 3 to 4 weeks. We have our speed plates or our digital speed displays up on County Z. There's one on each end. They are active and they do work. They do record. And so we will be able to retrieve that data if needed. They are. We did work with the sheriff's department on how they would like to see those set up. So that's kind of how they got to the pattern that they're in.
Any updates on the ditches out in Quincy yet?
No update. We haven't done any removals out there either. Yep, we probably should get, I'd hate to go out there and do all, I'd like to probably do like a test spot and see if we get any results out of it.
There's that one on the west side of the road. Was it 2,700? Yeah, where the water almost gets high enough to go across the guy's driveway.
Yeah,
That'd be a good one. to
I
test.
know, we're talking about water in the ditches on County Z, and I know Ken worked a lot of projects. It's kind of a little atypical to see water remain in ditches on a DOT project, especially. I was thinking about that after last month, we talked about it, and things have changed quite a bit on County Z grade wise. We weren't previously so well connected, our ditches, but now we are. So everything right at the moment is all, it flows to a point. And then in this case, it gets trapped. Gets up to almost that driveway down there the other day. I think I know the area you're referencing there. And there's not a really good positive to come out of any of that. Other than when I was looking at it, I don't believe we will overtop the road if we really get in trouble. I think we'll run out the back slope. But I would prefer to try an isolated area before I just make a commitment and go and tear out both sides. And see if we can't get something to.
Like where that snowmobile trail crosses there, if there's a way you can expose the band or something there and see it. Even if the water sits there for a day or two, but.
It's better than weeks.
Yeah. And that one ditch hasn't been dry yet this year.
Oh, really?
And
It's
probably,
pretty deep though, too, isn't it? Is that one of the deeper ones?
yeah,
Yeah.
the water could be a foot deep and.
Not. They're, no, maybe the muddle, but we just, another project where we really don't have an outlet. There's not a creek, there's not a waterway, there's no defined out. Yeah, we kind of do that.
Best you can kind of spread it out.
And I.
Well, it's confined.
Yeah.
Because I feel bad because I went through that whole plan. I was looking at the profile of the road. I never sat and looked at where the drainage of the water went and where it stayed before. Because I just assumed that most places you have a place for the water to get out.
Yeah.
There just isn't.
There. You folks previously rated the bridge engineers. That selection has been confirmed. SCH is your bridge designer for County Trunk Highway J. We have a meeting set up Monday, which you won't have to attend, of course. We have a meeting set up Monday with the DOT. The DOT has a meeting set up with us Monday to get that project going, get SCH started on it. And the wood pile is up for sale. It is on Wisconsin surplus. We kind of got buried in with some other municipalities. So we are not our own name, our own listing, if you will, because we only had the one item. They lumped us into some other things. Last I checked, it was 275, and I think there was 5 days left on the auction. So you guys have all watched auctions online before. Generally, that last day,
Yeah.
click, 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 goes beyond what you had in mind.
Anything else?
I do not have a list of questions.
Financial report?
Report is here. Just say that we have, again, our bigger projects haven't started, so we haven't.
Chris, could you give us an update on this one? The financials, please.
Give me a little bit.
No offense, Patrick.
Well, you sat in the whole meeting with.
So, yeah, I don't, Chris, we together, we haven't even sat and looked at this together yet here, but the short answer is our bigger projects, the seal quoting and their construction have not started. Of course, we're spending money daily on daily maintenance, but it's very small amounts compared to where we're headed. The seal coating and construction.
Yeah.
What we will do at some point here, and Chris and I will talk about it, and we'll have to talk with Kyle and probably Cynthia, is that I would like to get our money moved around in our accounts here on our end at least, so that it shows up in our FAS line. That is where County M is going to get billed to.
Yeah.
And so we need to, I would like to get the money moved in. Remember, it needs to come from several sources.
Right.
Comes out of quarry account, it's gonna get moved out of winter maintenance and some others.
Yeah.
So. It's just gonna help Chris and I here. In this office.
It's nice to know what you know. Deal with.
And it's there before it's spent too.
Right, yeah. Otherwise you're scrambling to get it moved in.
Right.
Anything else?
Well, anybody's got anything for upcoming agenda items, get with that or with me, and I'll try and work on something for the ATV, UTV thing, and hopefully they can bring something back next month. Their next meeting is June 8th. Meeting adjourned.
Hey, I wanna go to that WCA, we pay for that on our own.